That is
but we don't need
funny.
it. Yeah.
Wow.
So we did away with it today.
You know
I feel like we want to highlight.
Yeah.
We haven't discussed.
Like, don't want to miss this.
Wow.
But yeah.
That is bringing back memories. The closest thing I've ever done to something like that is when
You're having a real moment. We
needed this on camera.
I know.
Oh,
Well, they're still recording. Like we can use it as B-roll.
There was I'm like a very awkward dater. Like, because I say that because like being in the city, like I never had money to do anything, and like dating is expensive to take somebody out.
Sure is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I would always try to go to like a happy hour or something and like plan my dates around that. And I didn't know, I was nervous that I wouldn't know what to talk about. So I would have like a little piece of paper of like talking points, like 3 points. Like,
oh my God.
yeah. So like,
Matt, this is so
yeah.
good.
Oh my
Yeah,
God,
I
we
was like talking
need that.
points.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, beautiful people. I'm Deja Riley.
And I'm Alicia Ferguson.
And you're tuning into Dose of Duality. This is a podcast where we dive into deep conversation, cultivating a sense of community around the state of coexistence. Now, my partner over here.
Hey, boo.
How you feeling?
I feel good. I
Yeah.
feel really good today.
Yeah?
It's like happy hour vibes for me.
Yes, I see that.
It's
I see the
oh,
happy
can
hour
you see it?
vibes
The
that are
camera-
happening
the-
over here.
Is the camera catching it? It's been a week, and I just want to like tap into the celebration.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And tap into the wind down, right?
Yeah.
Little play on words there. It's the wind down.
The wind down?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, that could be a cute, like a little after hours of
I
like
like
some
that.
of these.
Ooh,
Like the behind the scenes.
are we starting something new?
I think we might.
I'm
Let
with
us
it.
know what y'all think.
I'm with it. Yeah. Let us know in the comments how you're feeling about it.
How are you though?
I'm good, boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel really good. I think I'm also tapping into that celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel celebratory vibes inside and out. I think that I have met some really incredible people in these past couple of weeks. I've been supported by some really incredible people. And I feel really encouraged. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
My horoscope, which I do read. Don't judge me. Everybody.
No judgment. No judgment. No judgment.
I'm a Capricorn. January.
If y'all didn't already know.
You know. But it was talking about that this weekend is meant for like intentional, like deep rest for me. And to not like trivialize rest.
Okay.
But like it's needed for me to maintain like a balance of self.
I
And
like
so
that.
Capricorns tend to have like a workaholic mentality. Like
Yeah.
I love to go. Like work
Yeah.
is fun for me. But I
Yeah.
do things I enjoy. But for me, it was a reminder to just like be okay with those pauses.
Yeah.
Sit with those moments. Maybe even like intentionally do nothing
Yeah.
and just be.
But like doing nothing is still doing something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for me, I read last year Morgan Harper Nichols' Peace is a Practice, right?
Mm.
And I also took that and like put a replacement word in there that rest is a practice. And it's not something that I've always like given so much intention to.
Yeah.
But now I'm like very intentional about rest.
Yeah.
Like I have my Oura ring on. I'm like, I'm loyal to it, okay? But I think it's so important because in order for me to be the best version of me and to show up in places and spaces with the energy that I want, rest is key,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that you said that. I love that
Especially
you're
when
leaning
we
into
work with
that.
our bodies so much.
Yep.
Like I think that's something I don't consider as much because it's just something I do.
Yeah.
But it's like that's physically so tiring,
Mm-hmm.
which is draining me emotionally too.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like that rest is also like for my spiritual body, my emotional body, and then also my physical body. I just had a revelation there. Sorry.
I liked that.
It just like hit and I was like,
yeah.
it's needed on multiple
drop
like,
down,
Yeah, on multiple
download.
levels is why it's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm embracing that with you.
Mm.
We love it.
We just had a whole moment.
But we invited them into the moment.
Yeah.
You guys get to be here for the moment. Our guest here today, like, I'm already blown away by the conversation we've had so far with him. But I am even more excited about what the next hour or more
Plus.
is going plus is going to bring us. This next guest needs no introduction, The world already knows who he is.
Mm-hmm.
But we are not a fan of placing labels on people here. So I'm just going to say his name, and I'm going to let him introduce himself to the world. Ladies and gents, and all people in between, beautiful humans, Matt James is in the house.
We love the yerp.
I actually got in trouble for that, like when I was in Utah this past weekend.
Really?
Like, not in trouble, but like I was like one of my friends was emceeing this event, and she goes, "Oh, we got Matt James in the house," and like they made a mistake giving me the mic. I was like, "Yeah," and like all the people from New York are like, "Yo, like what are you doing?" I didn't know it was a bad thing. I was just like, "What's
Is
up?"
Wait, the people
teach
from New
us.
York?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was a bad thing.
I gotta
either.
ask somebody, but apparently it's like I don't know. I thought it was cool. I'm like, "Yo, I'm here."
Yeah.
But they were like, "Yo, chill. Like, it's a corporate event." I'm like, "Oh, my bad."
Oh, it was corporate.
It was corporate.
Okay.
But like, yeah.
Okay. And there's two versions. So like I grew up closer to Philadelphia, South Jersey, and in Philly they say like yurt, right?
Okay.
And in New York it's yerp. And I've had multiple discussions, very heated discussions on who created it and what's the proper way to say it. It's a thing. It's a thing in New York.
Who's winning in your book, though?
I mean, I'm Philly.
You're
all day.
biased.
Yeah, like I mean, what do we want me to say? Like it's yurt.
Yeah.
One of my really good friends I grew up with, his name's Big Mac, and he's on Wildin' Out, and that's like his tagline. He's always like yurt.
Hold up, you know Big Mac?
Yeah, we went to high school together.
Wow.
You know him?
I not personally. I love Wildin'.
Oh yes.
I love Wildin' Out.
But that's the
hilarious.
Philly yurt, not the New York yurt, which is different.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Maybe if you said yurt, they'd have been like, oh, okay, a little softer.
Yeah. I came on strong. So
We love it though. It's welcome here. How about
okay,
that?
good.
So Matt, let us all know how you energetically introduce yourself. Like if you step into a room, what would you say is the proper way to introduce Matt James?
Oof, that's a good question. I feel like it's always changing. Like when and it's something that I've always kind of struggled with because growing up, I identified as an athlete because I identified myself and my self-worth and everything that I was and was about with the sport that I was participating in. So if that was basketball, football, track, skateboarding, like, oh yeah, I'm a skateboarder when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
In high school, I'm like, oh, I'm a football player. Because I excelled in it and I thought it was, and everyone thought it was cool that I was a football player. So I'm like, yeah, I'm the football player.
Yeah.
And then I go to college and I'm a collegiate football player. And then after college, I played in the NFL for a little bit. So now I'm an NFL guy. And when that all went away, that's when I first had to ask myself who I was.
Ooh.
So like, it's like a long-winded answer to get back to your question. Like, how do you identify yourself? Like, I'm still figuring that out. Like, I think every day I'm trying to figure out who I am. But the thing that grounds me most is like I am like God's child. So before anything, like that's who I am, and like that's how I like want to represent myself. So when I come to any room, it's like, yo, this is Matt. Like he's a man of God, and like so that is like the only thing that's ever grounded me. Like football didn't sustain who I was and who I am. Nothing else has except for that.
Yeah.
So like that's how I like to identify myself. But like, I don't come in the room like, yo, like I'm a man of God. Like what's happening?
Kick down the door.
Holy war over here.
Right. It's just more so like I just want that peace about myself when I come to a place, and like we could be talking about anything and I just try to relate to whoever I'm talking to and meet them where they're at.
Yeah.
But I would say like a brother, a son, a friend, that's like how I come into a place. Like I never anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question.
It
but
does. It does. Yeah. There's also no wrong answer to that question.
Yeah, cool.
And I like that you were so transparent with us that you're like, I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would look at somebody like you, somebody like one of us, and be like, oh, they've got it all figured out.
Right.
And for you to be able to step into a room and be so honest and say, hey, like I'm still discovering who I am. I'm still on this journey of life, figuring out what makes Matt happy.
Yeah.
What, might piss Matt off.
Right.
But you're on that constant journey of self-discovery and growth, and that's beautiful. That's where we're at. That's where we want to be. Up top. Also, I wanted to know, did you grow up in the church?
I did. So I feel like I feel like being from the South, and this is just my experience. I'm not speaking for anybody else, but like I grew up in a single parent home, and a lot of the kids in my neighborhood and my surroundings at my school and in my community had similar upbringings. It's like a single parent mom raising a bunch of kids. And I feel like when in the South, that's your like family structure. A lot of that discipline comes from the church, and a lot of that structure comes from the church. And it was something that my mom relied on heavily, and in part, like it became my life and my brother's life. So growing up in the church had a lot of to do with my upbringing and a lot of the discipline and the time I spent on the weekends and the choirs and whatnot that I was involved in. But,
you sing, man.
well, not like you. Not like you. I didn't realize that your pops was in Blackstreet. Like, what? So
Listen. I don't know if he passed down the vocals, but we're not tone deaf around here, so we can hold a little note. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I love music, but I love music enough to realize that I can't sing. So I don't even, I'll sing to myself, I'll sing in the shower.
Okay.
But around other people, I ain't gonna do it. Like if a song comes on, like some people would try to like, yeah. So I just
I'm a shower singer myself.
You are?
I sound amazing, honestly.
Oh, see?
Outside the shower, I can't guarantee what you're going to hear. Though.
Right. Exactly.
I love that. Okay,
I love that you identified yourself. Like, there's so many different hats that we could have pulled from, especially like having such a breadth of a career.
Right.
And it was just like your faith, which is almost like an intangible thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying, like it's anchored you, has grounded you, has really helped you, I guess, just navigate like the transitions in life. And so, I don't know, I just really resonated with that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like everything else is constantly changing. Like I was a football player. I'm no longer a football player. So I can't be like, yeah, like I was introduced. So it wasn't even a title I gave myself. It's like, people were proud of that for me. So if I come into a room, it's like, yo, this is my boy Matt. Like he played football at Wake Forest. Or like, yo, this is my boy Matt. He's getting recruited to play at so-and-so.
Yeah.
And like by default, like that's who you are. And then if it's powerful when you could define it for yourself and you don't have other people put the title on you. So like when people come up to you, it's like, yo, you were on The Bachelor. Or it's like, yo, you're The Bachelor. I was like, I was a bachelor at a time. Like I'm no longer a bachelor. And like, but like, I'm not trying to like, put anybody on game. Like, yo, I was on the back. Like I just more so say it so that like I can like kind of teach in the same way of like help myself come to the realization like that was something that I experienced. It's not who I am.
Yeah.
And like help them understand that too. Like, oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. I have to say, because you said it, the only season of The Bachelor I've ever watched was yours.
Oh, you did?
I watched it with my mom and my husband. They are also so excited that I'm sitting here talking to you tonight. So, I that's all I wanted to say.
Oh,
it was wonderful to be able to watch your journey, and I am really happy that you found love.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Should we hop into a little icebreaker?
Yes, let's do it.
So what we love to do around here is just set intentions. And we're all people of faith here as well. So just like be grounding our energy, zoning in, and just kind of like putting that energy out there. So I'm going to ask everyone to just shake the shoulders, shake the arms, get loose. Brah. We haven't done any facial
we
sounds.
haven't. Let's do some.
Yeah. Brah. Lines up. Ooh, I love that. Yeah, get it all out. Get it all out. It's Friday. Release the tension you might be feeling right now.
That really breaks the ice. If nothing else.
No context. Like, if there's no context, it just cuts me like,
that's just
like,
the clip. That's the clip right there. And that's how he showed up.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. So I'm just going to shuffle the deck. It's a deck of intention cards. And each one we're saying that you're just aligning your energy and your spirit right now with what is going to most serve you.
I like that.
So I'm going to spread these out. You'll go first, Matt. You're our special guest. And just pull one.
This one right here, speak it to me.
We love.
I'm loving these shoes. I love them so much.
I was going for very cozy vibes on Friday.
You are giving me cozy.
Like, just hug me.
Yes.
That's the vibe.
But also like Beyonce cozy.
Oh, wait, you can't read it out loud.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Don't read it yet. Don't read it yet.
Can I admit
You're going to read it out loud. Yes.
It's funny. All right, so basically, I was reading it because I was preparing if I had to read out loud because I'm not a great reader. So if I was gonna read, I didn't want to.
Okay,
do
you are
that.
gonna read out loud, and
Oh,
yes, if
okay.
you want to
No,
look at
it's
it,
cool.
you
We're
can.
gonna do
Okay.
that. No, it'll be.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing
I
that
really
with
do
us.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm not a great reader, so when I was like, okay, let me like
And you are
see if there's any big words. In there. I'm like, okay.
I got this. I got
Sound
this.
it out. Sound it out.
We believe in you, Matt. You got it.
I love that.
That's a good card.
I feel like it's.
I
gonna
love
be.
all the hand tats as you do it. It just
Oh,
like
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a photo
Cute.
moment
Yeah,
for
like
sure.
Wow.
All right.
Interesting.
I need to know why after this. But
right.
you go first. We love.
I go
to hear
first?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just kidding.
Matt, I was over here like,
Oh, he's serious.
shaking in I was like, oh my goodness, we might have to clip this part out.
Hey, listen,
Yeah, just
I had to make sure it's a safe space.
Oh, it is a
It
safe
is, it
space.
is, it is.
It was gonna be so safe that I was gonna being public.
Oh,
Public-
My
snap.
head just
Dude.
like,
That
okay,
is
baby.
funny.
All right. All right.
We got you, sweetheart. So it's okay.
The Southern auntie came out of all of us.
When I was younger, the last thing I'll say about my reading. When I was younger, when I would mess up a word, I didn't know the word, I would cough. So I'd just be reading, I'd be like, and I'd just be coughing throughout the whole. So
Oh,
yeah,
that was a good cover.
yeah.
very good.
But it's like it's obvious when you know I'm coughing, then there's like what you think is a big word.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Okay,
It's okay. We got better.
yeah, we got better.
We got better.
Okay, we ready?
Yep.
Mhm.
I am perceptive. My intuition is powerful. When I am unsure, my intuition is sure. I strengthen my intuition by trusting it and responding to its impulses. I am perspective.
Does that resonate with you?
Mhm.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. You can dive into it.
I could dive into that?
Yeah,
If you like.
can dive into
If
it.
you desire.
Yes.
All right, so let's break this down. My intuition is powerful. I feel like a lot of the times I know either right from wrong or what I should and should not do. So that being a powerful intuition, like, doesn't mean that I always follow it though. So it's like my intuition's powerful. Like I see it, I should not do this, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Mhm.
And like that's what's gotten me into trouble in the past.
Okay.
But yeah, when I'm unsure, my intuition is sure. So like I know what to do, but I'm just like, it's not that it's the hard thing to do. It's what I don't want to do.
So you're like resistant
I'm resistant
like
to it.
the right choice.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
I strengthen my intuition by trusting it and responding to its impulses. So like whenever I have that, the older I've gotten, the more I respond to it. When I was younger, I just, I was a little bit more reckless and careless with like checking in on these type of intuitions. I'm like, it's not that big a deal. But as the older you get, like a red flag is a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am very aware of them, but it doesn't always mean that I'm acting on them. And it's something I'm working on. It's not like it's not something I'm proud of because it gets back to the conversation we had before we got on camera talking about how in the South people are more careful about not wanting to upset you, but in doing that, they're hurting you. Whereas someone from New York and like the North is like, they're brutally honest with you, and it might hurt to hear, but it's what you need to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I'm trying to channel that, and this is a lot of what we talked about.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I think, we've talked about like leaning into your intuition and trusting your intuition before. And it's an interesting thing because you'll get this sort of like visceral reaction like in your body, right?
Yeah.
And your body is like clearly telling you, okay, alert, or like there's a softness here. You can lean into this.
Right.
And for some reason, that resistance like rises up. I can relate to that. Like, I think that sometimes I'm like, okay, like, how am I going to be perceived? Like,
Yep.
what is the other person going to think if I'm making a decision relationally? Like, I just get so in my head and start overthinking what I know to be right.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, I can definitely relate to that a lot too.
Yeah. I definitely love that. I think you both mentioned like the body, like how it comes up or it shows up in the body before maybe you even know or have language for it.
Yeah.
It's like a gut thing,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
a shoulder thing, or even sometimes my heart's beating quickly and I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what happens when I'm like faced with a situation. I should do this, and I'm debating if I should go the other way.
Right.
Yeah. Do you guys have any like signals in the body that like you know are your thing?
I'd say for me, it's usually butterflies in my stomach. Like mine usually is somewhere in the gut. I don't know why it's that. If it's like alarming, like fight or flight, it's my heart and it'll start racing.
Yeah.
And my pits will start sweating. So then I know it's real.
We're checking the pits like, oh, what's happening?
Right.
Going down.
Yep.
Well, the gut's the second brain, so
I like that.
so maybe there's something there.
Okay.
Spiritual warfare.
For me, I would say I love food. So whenever I lose my appetite, then I know something is wrong. So if I'm not hungry, then there's a problem. And then I can fall asleep in this chair. Like I can fall asleep on the subway. I can fall asleep on the cat bus. I can fall asleep anywhere.
Really?
So
Anywhere?
I can fall asleep anywhere. Like
noise,
it's
no noise, doesn't matter?
it's a blessing. It really is. Like I could,
Wow.
it could be loud. It could be at a concert. I could fall asleep
At a concert?
at a concert.
Has it ever happened?
It has happened.
No way.
It did.
I don't even want you to put the artist on blast.
don't
Not
do it, don't
because
do
it's one of my favorite artists, and it
Oh,
wasn't even
man.
like
We're just tired.
It wasn't even disrespect. It was just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I was in such a good place. Like
You
I
felt
was just
safe.
like I was just
Oh.
vibing.
Yeah.
And before I know, I'm like, yo, I'm
They
sleeping.
wooed you to sleep.
Right. But yeah, if I'm not tired and I can't sleep, or if I've lost my appetite, then I'm like something's up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are good
Clear
cues.
indicators.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
What you got?
Let's see. Ooh. Well, yours was perceptive, right?
Yes.
Mine is I am receptive.
Mm.
I am open to new ideas. I'm willing to try different methods, and I consider alternate viewpoints. I welcome intellectual stimulation. I am receptive. I like that a
Yes,
lot.
you are.
I like that a lot. I think the part that sticks out to me the most on this card is the intellectual stimulation,
Yep.
especially with all these amazing conversations that we've been
Yes.
having. I do just find that I am curious about the human experience in general.
Yep.
And I think I said this to Yami. I said, if I was not doing what I'm doing, I'd do something with psychology.
Yeah.
Because I'm so curious to know how the human brain works, to know like the differences that we have, the tics that we might have, the
Yep.
things that like really turn us on or turn us off.
Yep.
Like I just, So the intellectual stimulation there,
Yeah.
that's where you get me.
Yeah.
Right there.
I felt similar. So my mom was a therapist.
Yeah.
And I was just like, "Ugh, I can't do what she does. So like I just like picked something else that I thought I was good at
Right.
and went to school for it, like fashion and like talking, marketing.
Yep.
But like as I got older, like that kept coming up. Like I was always the friend where it's like, let me tell you your problems. You always get great advice.
Yep.
And so just like a deep listener, like an active listener,
Yeah.
and just like almost feel like there's a natural level of, like discernment, not all the time. Let me
Right.
clear that up. But in
Right.
certain areas, right? The discernment can be sharp.
Yeah.
And parts of me wish I would have leaned into it sooner. But it's coming back full circle.
circle.
Yeah,
I
it's coming back
know.
full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody's about to be a life coach.
I'm very excited about
Hey.
it. Very excited. And even just like being ushered into the wellness space, like
Yeah.
there's so much of like intuition and feelings and like just having to observe and really like understand personalities that like helps you. So life coaching is next. I'm on the
Yes,
way.
it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I'm excited for you.
Yeah.
That's going to be amazing. Up next,
All right.
Alicia.
Ooh, I love this. Okay, I haven't received this one yet. I am strong. I'm stronger than I think I am. I reject victimhood. My strength is in knowing that all circumstances are temporary. I focus my attention on what's in front of me. I naturally move forward into new phases of life. I am strong. I received that.
I like that. You are strong.
I received that for you.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
As I've been in observance of you and we've had this blossoming friendship, I recognize that in you. You're very strong. And I think you make others around you feel strong too. So I second that. I concur.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
I definitely, I love where it says, I reject victimhood, almost as a remembrance of like, if you ever feel like you're falling into like the woe is me, it's like, no, accountability and just like own it. And move forward. I love how it says even just like moving forward into new phases and this naturally allowing it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all circumstances are temporary, which made me think of when you were speaking earlier about like these phases that you've been in. You're like, it's all temporary. The only thing that I could ground myself is in like God's present, like I'm his child. Like that's the one constant in life.
Yeah.
And then in my training, I try to resonate that thought where it's like, any pain that I'm feeling is temporary. Like, so like training for the marathon or anything that you're doing, it's like this moment will pass. And it's like, how long can you endure this to become a stronger person?
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
I really like it.
I really like
because it like helps build the endurance, just like strengthens you. And it helps with your perseverance. And so it's like, you need the extra weight sometimes to like, to be strong in that sense.
Yeah.
Okay, question, sir.
Yes.
When I picked it, you were like, what was that about?
It's funny because everyone had like a different style of like, you know, picking their card. I picked this one because it looked the most vibrant. Like it looked like it was like a little bit more colorful than the other cards. I was like, oh, I'm drawn to that.
Okay.
But like, there's no rhyme or reason. I don't know why anyone picked anything, but I was just like gassing you up a little bit. I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, so.
I appreciate that.
I
feel like it helped channel the right one.
So Matt, you just touched on running, so that I'm gonna run with that.
Okay, let's do it.
let's talk a little bit about how running became such a huge part of your life.
Yes.
I know that you were one of the leaders for the Lululemon 10K races, and you are always enthusiastically dropping on my timeline, running somewhere. So I want to know how it became such a huge part of your life. Where did your running journey begin, and where are you at with it now?
Oof. I would say that my running journey began with the Durham Eagles. So that was the track club that I was a part of as, I don't know, an elementary school kid. And it's something that I want my kids to, I'm not going to be one of those parents, I don't think, that like has their kids like, oh, you're going to be a this or you're going to be a that. But I think that track is a great activity for anybody to be involved in, regardless of what they're interested in, because it's a good base.
Yeah.
And so I started running track when I was young, and the kids that stuck with track, everyone quit for the most part, aside from like a few kids. Those kids ended up going on and running in college, and then did Olympic trials. So like, and those are just random. Like that was just my experience. Like, so that was my initial relationship with it, and then the other relationship with it was punishment. So like through sports, you know, I started to despise it because I ran track in middle school and in high school. But then when you were being punished for football or basketball, you know, you're running sprints. I'm like, man, I don't like to run.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after I left college where I was working at a bank in Pittsburgh, and I walked outside one day after work, and I saw the CEO of our bank, the CFO of the bank, the COO of the bank, and like one other person, and they were like stretching and they're running stuff. And the other person was someone I worked with, and I was like, yo, like I saw the next day when I saw him in the office, I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
Like what? Like why are you running with the CEO?
Yeah.
And like, oh, it's the run club. I'm like, interesting. I was like, I want to run with the CEO. So I got a pair of running shoes. And I invited myself. I'm like, yo, is it cool if I join y'all for the run club? And like, long story short, like when I decided to leave Pittsburgh to come to New York to work, the CEO of the bank called me into his office, and he's like, what do we have to do to get you to stay? And it was that relationship that I had cultivated from the run club. And I'm still cool with him and with all these other figureheads of the bank to this day from running around Pittsburgh. And like, I wouldn't have built that community around running. I wouldn't have built that community without running. And like, that was our common ground. Like there was nothing common about anybody there. Our only common ground was that we loved to run and we liked to exercise. And taking that lesson with me from Pittsburgh to New York, any opportunity that I found to be social with people through fitness, like I jumped on because I saw the relationships that were cultivated through it. Because it's like a shared experience of something that's like really difficult and no one really wants to be doing. Like you want to run, but like, do you really want to run? Like
Yeah.
it's cold, it's long, like your feet hurt. And some of my best relationships in the city have come through, my relationship with Lululemon and the ambassadors that I've met, the running that I've done, the marathons that I've done, and the training aspect of it, because it's that, again, that shared experience of doing something that's tough that not a lot of the other people are doing. So, my relationship with running, to answer your question, has gone up and down.
Yeah.
It's like it was a great foundation of like all things athletic. And then it was like something that I despised because it meant that you did something wrong. And then it was, this great thing again, because it's building relationships and providing me opportunities, not because I'm the smartest person in the room, not because, I'm anything but just willing to go run. And so it's like running means a lot. It means everything to me.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the community that you built around like running was like equally or almost, I don't know, was that more important, the community, or as it was the act of running itself?
The act of running was like, I was just blessed that, I was able to run.
Yeah.
Like I was a mid distance guy and a long distance guy growing up. So like, running long distances wasn't ever, some people just, the thought of someone running a mile is daunting, because it is for most people who've never run a mile before.
Yeah. I'm
Right?
one of them.
Right.
Yeah.
But as someone who's ran their whole life, like I knew I could do it. And the next step was being able to carry conversation. So like I would practice on the weekends. I'd go on runs and I'd be rapping the music in my headphones so that I could have conversation, because they're asking me all these questions like, so where are you from? I'm dying. Like, I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, this isn't going to be beneficial if I can't, build relationships.
Yeah.
So the running was important because it was a means to something, but the building of the relationship was everything. And I would have been cool with it being built over, a cookie social club, like whatever it was, but it just happened to be running.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've seen that a lot of people that are high achievers, seek out these activities that really push themselves, whether it's like wanting to be a triathlon or a marathoner, or like they're always looking for I got to push myself for this. So like by default, you're surrounding yourself with people who just like want to do more, and it's infectious.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I like that. I like that element of like, I'm doing this to push myself to be better. I'm doing this as a means of growth.
Right.
I'm doing this because I'm curious to meet new people and to build community. I think that aspect of like constantly building.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems to be like the thread through all of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause now that I think about it, there was never a fitness goal. Like I wasn't running to lose weight. I wasn't running to train for a marathon. I wasn't running to train for anything. I was just running to be a part of the group.
Yeah. The community
Exactly. I was just running to be a part of the community.
Yeah.
So,
I like that.
yeah.
And I love you even just noted like the high achieving piece, because it's like all your life that's kind of been, even if you knew it or not, like you've always been like stretching yourself with these goals and these different activities, whether it's like physically or even like mentally, right?
Right.
You've always been stretching yourself. And it was like, even if you consciously didn't know that's what it was, if you consciously didn't know that's what you were doing, like you still chose into that. Are there things that you are exploring now, like when you think about it in that respect, where you're like,
yeah, wow, that's a good transition. I never thought about it like that. I guess that's kind of how my nonprofit came about. I was so once I transitioned from Pittsburgh to New York, and I was working in a job that, was just a means to an end, like just a way to get to New York.
Yeah.
And then when I got here, I was like, I think I want to work in real estate. So I got my dream job working at, a commercial real estate company that, I never thought that I would be able to work at. And I thought that once I had this job that I was going to be like, that's it. Like I'm here. And then the city, I got this job. Like my life is great.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that job it was just a job.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't passionate about it. And like, I was searching for more. To answer your question, it's like, that high achieving aspect. It's like I'm doing this, but it's like not feeding me. Like I'm just going and I'm leaving. Like I think anybody could do this. Like I think you could train most people to do what I was doing. There's nothing special about what I was doing. So I was like, what's something I can do that other people can't? Like I can connect people. Like I love food. I love fitness. Like how can I marry that into an active service? And my favorite restaurant at the time was in the Alphabet City. It's like so it's like your avenues go like 9, 10, 8, 7, 6 up across like west to east. And then when you get to First Avenue, then underneath 14th Street, for my people not in New York.
And for me, because you're teaching me some geography right now about New York. I'm still new here.
Right. I'm waiting for you to drop the name of the restaurant.
I got you. So underneath 14th, then you've got Alphabet City, which is A, B, C, D.
Okay.
And there's a rich history of Alphabet City. It's a very marginalized area. It's seemingly all parts of Manhattan kind of pushes the lower class to the outskirts of the city. And then, out, Brooklyn, out, like what's East Williamsburg? Like that, like, you know what I mean? Like there's like
realtors.
Right. So you've got all these people that are being pushed out, and Alphabet City is that final resting place for a lot of those families and communities.
Okay.
And it happened to be my favorite part of the city because there's culture, there's inexpensive food. I didn't have any money. So I'm hanging out here. I love it. The restaurant's called Bob White's.
I haven't been.
It's a Southern comfort food. They have a place in Jersey City.
Do they?
It is.
Oh, so I should go.
It's fire.
It's a chain though.
It's not a chain.
Okay.
They have 2 locations.
Yep.
I guess I don't know if that makes it a chain, but it's not a chain.
Well, no,
it's not a chain in the way that like
yeah.
Pop.
It's not a chain in the way Popeyes is.
He's coming for you. He's coming for you.
I think you okay, everybody. So you don't know what that reference was. Off camera, we were having a conversation, and Matt's like, "Yeah, because Bojangles," and I was like, "What?" Well, like, I was like, "I'm gonna just cut to the chase. Popeyes is hands down, 10 toes down. It's way better. 10 toes down."
I don't like fast food, so I'm not weighing in.
The
so
sauces,
it's
the sauces alone.
You can make a case for that. I just gotta go with Bojangles. I'm from North Carolina.
I know. I've tried them both.
Yeah.
I no longer eat fast food, so like I feel like I don't have any stake in the game.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and I don't even eat chicken now, so this is all off memory.
Oh, wow.
You're going hard for Popeyes right now, and don't eat chicken no more.
I haven't had chicken in the last 2 years. Prior to that, I was eating Bojangles and Popeyes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Stretching myself.
Hey, I respect that. Discipline for that.
But I walk by Popeyes every day in Bed-Stuy.
Wow. Any chicken? Like, just like.
Oh, any chicken.
Wow.
So I went vegetarian for a year.
Yep.
And then I transitioned to pescatarian, which is where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah.
Mostly plant-based, but, some salmon, protein.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to, we keep talking about running.
Yeah.
I feel like anytime I try to run, it's the diet piece that I don't have down pat. So the more miles I start putting down, I was like, oh no, like I need more intentionality here.
Right.
I don't have it. And I don't know if I wanted to cultivate it, but I do. I love this community that we're now part of.
Yes. They're welcoming us in so like warmly, giving us like, the grace to be us.
Yeah.
I know. And we're going to be like doing like half marathon.
Oh my goodness.
Like it's slowly
You just get roped into it. That's what happens with running. Like the first race I did when I was in Pittsburgh was a 5K. And I got the bug after that. I'm like, oh, that was fun. Like I could run a little bit further.
Yeah.
And then you run a half marathon and you're like, yo, I'm never going to do that again. And then like 6 months later, you sign up for a marathon. So
yeah.
It's addicting once you get going because of all not even the running aspect of it. It's the community that comes with doing that. It's a shared experience, the people you run with, you train with. And that's why I try to be inclusive when anyone's talking to me about running, because like my running advice is no different than the next person's running advice. Like you're a runner. If you're running, you're a runner.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna keep running with that. We're gonna keep touching on community and get into this inspiration and get into more food.
Yes.
We all love the food, and apparently Matt does too. But we're gonna take a quick little commercial break, and we'll be right back for Dose of Duality. Many may already know that it's an athletic and footwear brand built for run, train, yoga, and so much more. But what they may not know, and we can attest to as proud Lululemon ambassadors, is that it's a brand that puts people before product.
Yeah. And as creators, we dream real big. And so Lululemon has really championed and supported us, honestly, every step of the way. And so whether it's creating an intimate poetry show or training for the New York Marathon, soon to come, or whether the vision is to create a 2-day interactive wellness festival for Black History Month, or this podcast, which is amplifying 2 of its Black ambassadors and many others, Lululemon has really partnered with us to help build our dreams. And so we just want to say thank you and sending so much love to our Lulu team. Welcome back to A Dose of Duality. How are you feeling?
I feel so good, Matt. How are you feeling?
I feel great. It's just, I feel like I'm taking in a lot from y'all. Like,
Really?
Yeah, I just love
You feel
to.
the same? I think we
Okay.
feel the same. Yeah.
No, this has been so, like, the off-camera conversations, sorry guys, have been the best.
No.
That's
It's
that's on me.
it's a reciprocal energy for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
It gets back to the card that you said. You said you're I think
I'm
it said
receptive. Yes,
receptive.
yes, yes.
And you're stimulated intellectually.
Yeah.
And so that's why that's another thing that I love about New York is like, I'm a listener. Like, I don't really like to talk that much, even though sometimes I'm forced to. But people have such crazy life experiences.
Mhm.
And if you just sit there and listen to what people have to tell you, like
Yeah.
no one's trying to listen anymore. Like everyone
Yeah.
wants to say something.
Yeah.
But up here, if you just listen, you could really get put on game.
Yeah. I think that's true too. And like we were talking a little bit off camera before we got into the episode about everybody just wanting to be the expert, right?
Mhm.
And that idea that like no one really wants to be a student anymore.
Right.
Like everybody wants to teach somebody something. And like I'm all a fan of like, you know, being able to share knowledge and
Yeah.
wisdom with other people. But I'm a student first and foremost.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
like I never want to stop being a student.
Yep.
I feel like, you know, I'm surrounded by some of the greatest teachers of my entire life. And I'm like, I want to continue to be like immersed in
Yep.
experience and immersed in like so much wisdom and like attract that energy, you know?
Mhm.
So yeah, I like to listen too.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes, I don't know who says it, so you guys can add that. But it's in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. And then in the expert's mind, there aren't any. Essentially.
Ooh.
Wow.
And so when you stay like nimble and just like open and just stay curious,
Mhm.
like there's so many ways and channels and pathways that like can be discovered.
Mm.
And it's easy when you feel like you're good at something. It's just like this is my move.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do
Right.
my move.
Right.
Because
Right.
then it produces X result.
Yep.
And it's like, what if you approached it from a different angle? Or like, what
Mm.
if you even just walked a different like way that day?
Wow.
Like what could happen? Right. And especially when you're talking about all these like lived experiences that we're
Mhm.
surrounded by. I've had some of the wildest. When we were at the well for
Yeah.
our ambassadors like
Yeah.
wellness day, I got there early with a friend,
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there. We're eating like dinner or lunch, and there was this older woman, and she just kept like interjecting in the conversation. And it was like with older people, especially she was like an older Jewish lady, like an
Oh.
older Jewish New York
Okay.
woman, like born and raised here.
Yeah.
I know her whole life now. We're friends, right? So imagine
Yeah.
like that. And at first I was like, oh, like, me and my friend are trying to have this conversation.
Right.
But it's like, be open.
Right. Yeah.
This woman's life, she's been married 4 separate times. She was a gymnast. She owns like, she was like, oh, honey, like I'm only here for like a week. I hate the winters here. Like I usually go to the Hamptons and then I like have a house in Madrid. And I was just like listening. And then she was talking about like why she was at the well. And so she's been into like yoga and like different like Ayurvedic like treatments since like the 60s. And so I was just like, oh, you were doing it before it was like being done.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Before it was trendy.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yes. And so it was just like what happens when you just be present
Yeah.
and like acknowledge the people that are around you.
Yep.
And like, I don't know, it just made me look at like growing older and aging with like joy.
Mm.
I was like, I want to be you because you're like still coming here. You're still like,
Mm.
essentially, she was still with the shits, y'all.
Yeah.
very much
Yes,
still-
yes, we love that.
Yeah.
We love that.
I like
yeah.
that too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because my stomach is rumbling, I'm gonna have to turn the conversation to food,
Mm.
something that Matt is very passionate about.
Yes.
So Matt, I know Alicia and I had already talked about this behind the scenes. We're like, is Matt a foodie? Does he like to cook it? Does he just like to
Yeah.
eat it? We need to know your relationship with food. How did it come about?
Yes.
And what made you so passionate about just like culinary arts?
Yes. Ooh, I think that we don't, as people who can, I guess I can only speak for myself, as someone who can afford to eat out, and like eat out as, fast food, whatever you consider eating out, not eating at home.
Yeah.
We forget how much of a privilege that is. And the students that I work with through my nonprofit, ABC Food Tours, we take those students to go eat. Like we'll take them out. And this is a lot of their first times ever going to a restaurant. So they don't know where to put the napkin. They don't know if they can drink out of this cup. They don't know how to use certain silverware.
Yeah.
And that gets lost in, the privilege that we have of being able to eat out. And as like when I was in high school, the first times that I've ever eaten out were with friends. Like it was after a basketball game. Like my friends' parents asked me if I wanted to go eat with them. And I was like, yeah, I want to go eat with y'all, but like I ain't got no money.
Yeah.
And but I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, I'll go with you. And they covered them, and it was like, it was like Outback. It wasn't like it was just a random restaurant, and they covered that, and I was just like, my mind was blown. I'm like, yo, this person just paid for my meal. Like I was, and like what that did for me, like we're talking about it like 20 years later.
Yeah.
Like that really made me feel some type of way. And I'm like, I want to be able to do that for somebody. And like, I just have such fond memories of building relationship and having conversation over a meal. Like when you're eating, I feel like most people are happy.
Yeah.
And so like, when you have a good meal and you'll open up about things.
Yeah.
So like some of my best conversations have been, after we've had a meal, or like someone felt comfortable to open up.
Yeah.
And it's also like one of the first things you ask someone when you're traveling. It's like, yo, I'm going to be in New Orleans, or I'm going to be in so-and-so. It's like, oh, like, yeah, any good restaurants there? Or like, what's your favorite place to eat when you're there?
Yeah.
And imagine someone asking you that and you've never eaten out. Like, what's your favorite place to eat in New York? Like, what do you like?
Yeah.
Some people they've never done that.
They
so like
freeze up and like
they don't they've never been out to eat. So it gives you it gives you something to relate to people with. It gives you our students a level of confidence to be able to speak to something. It's like, yeah, I've eaten out and I've been there and I liked it and I enjoyed it. And they're trying, sushi for the first time. They're trying, Caribbean food for the first time. And a lot of these students are from these countries and these areas, and they've never had authentic food because they've never been home.
Wow.
So it's deep, and like food means a lot. So I don't know the best way to say it, but like my love language is to share a meal with somebody.
Yeah.
So
I love that so much.
It's so beautiful. And it just builds off this love of community for you. Because when you like sit at a table with somebody, that's how you build intimacy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how you build relationship. It's like that trust and that conversation.
Yeah.
And it provides like that welcoming atmosphere to really like speak into someone's life. So like if you're doing that with the kids, they might be like, I don't know this man.
Right,
Like, I don't know him. But like enough meals together, it's like now you could speak into like one of those children's lives, and they really receive that because you've built up that rapport. I like that's amazing.
Yeah.
You managed to bridge something you really love and then turn this into a nonprofit as well, and like share that with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It started in college because we used to invite students onto campus, and they would get excited because they're getting to we'd have this thing called Eat with the Deeks. Because the Wake Forest mascot was a deacon.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And so like their favorite basketball player, or their favorite football player, soccer player, volleyball player we'd come to this room with all these students who like, watch everyone's games, and we're like sharing. It was always pizza. So we were having pizza with them. And it was their first time ever having pizza.
Wow.
Like they had never had like Papa John's or whatever it is. And they're just like, yo, this is what it looks like on the commercial. And it's like, yo, this is a $15 pizza.
Yeah.
But like the way that these students opened up after having that shared meal with us, I'm like, they've got something here.
Yeah.
And I knew that once I left college, not like identifying and being an athlete anymore. It's like, how could I get students excited about me coming to them and sharing anything with them? like they don't care that I'm a real estate broker. Like man, get out of here. Like you in the NBA, you in the NFL. Like what's something that you're a rapper? Like what can we? Like what's something that is like tangible for us that we? And so I'm like, I know everyone loves food. So if I can get you guys to eat, then maybe you'll listen. And that's kind of how it was born. So
yeah.
How many years has it been running right now?
5 years now.
5 years?
Yeah, 2008 was our first year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's not all me. I've got an amazing team of people that work really hard to make it all come together, and principals and superintendents that trust us to, spend time with their kids. So
yeah. I mean, listen, that does. I think they obviously respect you, and I also think that you're building that respect and trust with those kids as you open up this space for them that they've like not experienced before. And I do think, as you were saying that, I was like, I do take it for granted that I can go eat out wherever I want,
right,
whenever I want, you know. And I don't remember a time in my life where I didn't have access, right?
Yeah.
There was a period in my time where like a little broker than I am now, but but then still even having access to like simple things like ordering a pizza or like going to Taco Bell or when I was eating those things, like I could do that. And that was just my bracket. What I could afford.
Right, exactly. So one thing we talked about off camera was, I don't even know how this came, but we talked about splitting the bill.
Yes.
And so to your point of your bracket, like, the context was, I think that, if I'm inviting you on the date, I should be paying for the date. And I feel comfortable doing that because it's within my bracket. Like I'm not going to invite you to go to Ruth's Chris if I don't have a Ruth Chris budget.
Yeah.
So,
I
feel
that you date responsibly.
Yeah, you date responsibly. Exactly.
We like that. We like to date responsibly. we do.
Cue for all the guys out there. Put that out there.
Yeah, because if
all the folks.
Last thing I'll say on it, if you don't, then you're gonna resent that person. But I can't believe that person didn't split the bill. But if you're going somewhere that you can afford, then it's gonna be, I don't think a date has ever been good or bad because, I would say that I don't think most dates go good or bad based on the, elegance of the meal. It's more about the company with the person.
Yeah, I do think that. I think also like you emphasize this idea of like having community at a table, like around a meal, and that being like a way that you are able to open up with people, right? And I think you've specifically paved this way for young people, for the youth. And I see that you have a passion for working with the youth. And Alicia, little birdie, told me that you were overseas helping to build schools.
I was.
Philippines.
Yeah, I was.
Alicia, also, I just want to let you know.
Whoa.
My partner over here, y'all. She'd be finding out. I think that she could have been a private investigator in another life. Because we were on the phone and we were like, briefing the episode and stuff. And she's like, yeah, did you know he was in the Philippines building schools?
Oh, man.
And I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah,
Talk about that with us. Tell us how that came about. Like, what?
That's a whole nother level of just gratitude. Like it came about through a partnership I had with Vita Coco.
Okay.
Which is a coconut water for everyone who doesn't know. And they source a majority of their coconuts from the Philippines.
Okay.
So it was like this trip that, as someone who works closely with the brand, they were going to take us to see like the full process of how they get the coconut off the tree, in the truck, to the factory, in the box, to the States, and the way that they support these communities. So like the farming practices there are, I can't even explain it. Like it's like it'd be like trying to describe what the rainbow looks like to someone who's doesn't have eyes. It's like I don't even know how to express what I saw and the way that they were living and how happy they were. Like they seemingly to someone like us, they didn't have very much, but they had everything they needed.
Yeah.
And being there and how grateful they were for the schools that we were building. The schools that we were building were like was just 4 walls and a roof. And that was their school that they were walking miles to. Wow. These kids were walking, some of these kids were walking 4 miles, not on a road, not on the sidewalk. They're climbing, they're going up and down mountains. Like I'm not exaggerating, to get to school.
Oh my God.
And some of these students, sleep at school because it's such a far walk. Like they'll walk so far that like by the time they're done with school, it's dark, and they'll sleep at school Monday to Friday, then they'll go home on the weekends.
Oh, wow.
And like they're sleeping in these structures that we're building for them.
Wow.
So like, and these, again, like building to us in the States, people think, you know, like the Empire State Building or like whatever.
Yeah.
It was the bare minimum. It was the least we could do for them.
Yeah.
And the gratitude and the thankfulness from their families, from the community who seemingly doesn't have anything, was just like, it goes back to what we talked about being in New York. It's like, I feel like people in New York are high achievers. Like you don't come to New York to be lazy because you'll find your way out. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
Like it's like there's people's time is too valuable for you to waste. There's too much going on for you to be lollygagging, and like it drives you to do more.
Yeah.
It's like working at this job isn't enough. What else can I do? I can like try to start like working with kids in the community was my thing. And then you know, in terms of the trip with Vita Coco, it's like, you know, we're supporting this village with, you know, resources to, you know, better farm coconuts. What else could we do? We could, what are your needs? They're listening, like we talked about. They're listening to the people, like, what do you need? We need schools. All right, we'll build you schools. It gets back to what we talked about with listening. They just asked the people like what they needed. It's like it was one of the most eye-opening trips I've ever gone on. And it just shows you that there's always more to be done. You can do more, and I'm just grateful, you know, grateful to have been born in the States, to have been born where I was, to see the way that, and I don't want it to come across as like, you know, I feel like to feel sorry for them, because they're healthy, they love their lives, but like to know how we were raised and the things that we were able to, I don't know, it was just like, I can't even describe to you. Like it took us hours on these like 4x4 vehicles. I'm like, yo, I don't know where we're going, but like I gotta text my family, tell them I love them, because like where are we going? We're going to the middle of the jungle. And then after an hour on like going up and down, and like this drive that we took, kids were having to walk it to get to this school. And then we get there and like there's an opening, and there's like, you can't even consider it a house, but like there's like structures made with materials that you find, you know, in the woods. That and Philippines is one of the areas that gets hit by tsunamis and hurricanes. And I'm like, it just, I can't even explain it. Well, I'll have to share pictures so that people can really grasp what I'm trying to say. But it was an eye-opening experience, to say the least. And I'd love to get back out there at some point.
I love that.
Honestly, like I'm in awe of the work that you're doing with the youth. Like I am very passionate about working with kids too. And I love working with nonprofits, and I love giving back. And I think it is some of the most rewarding and also some of the most touching work that you can do. I think it is oftentimes that we see people that are in the positions that they're in, and they don't even think about like reaching back and pulling forward. But like that's something that you are actively doing. You've made it your life. Like you've made that a lifestyle to be able to do that. So I really commend you on that.
Thank
really
you.
Amazing.
I love that you're so active around it, and not just like vocal or just like, you know, raising money. Like you're like feet on the ground, like meeting, like getting dirty, like building to like really be in the experience of it. Because I think that perspective shifts how you, like, even as you're communicating it now. I wasn't there. I don't know the work Vita Coco is doing, but it's like, whoa, I feel like this is something we need to look into. And I feel like other people are going to, like, the way you emoted it, they're going to feel that same sentiment. But that comes from you being like in the work. The nitty gritty of it. Like you can't fake that. Right? So I appreciate that too. Like you like doing that and then coming back to share, because that's how, like, we talked about inspiring before. It's like that's how you inspire others to be like, so when we all go to the Philippines, y'all, like, I got some boots I can bring.
Right.
Right now, I feel like you do, and I'm like, what can I do to help?
Yeah.
Like, how can we also dig our hands into the work? And like, yeah, that's a truly inspiring.
Yeah, that's a conversation I have with a lot of people. They just ask, they see the end product of, ABC Food Tours and other work that anybody does, like the end product of where you're at. It's like, how did you get here? It's like, yo, I went through a lot to get here.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to just start and put the work in, like whatever you want to do is possible. And like, it's so cliche, but like, I believe that. Like, I've seen it. Like, I've seen people manifest things just through doing it.
Yeah.
Like, whatever that thing is, whether it's, through your career, through a relationship, through your family. Like, I think that we get clouded by the success that you see on, social media and like everyone's end result. And they're discouraged by the road that everyone took there because it's seemingly so long, but like before you know it, you're looking back on that road.
Yeah.
Because we're already here. Like,
like
we're in that moment of looking back, like, man, I went through all this stuff. And you don't even know that you're going through it when you're going through it because your head's down.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Talking about the road to get here, right? So like looking down Matt's road to get all the way to this point that you're at, what would you say your greatest challenge was? What is the greatest challenge that you faced along that road?
That's actually a very simple question for myself. Sorry, that sounded really weird. That's a very
easy to answer.
It's an easy answer.
Yeah, that didn't sound weird. I got what you. I got what you were tossing.
Sounded like a robot.
That is.
It was. I'm like computing.
Laugh about that. So good. So good.
To answer your question, I think that what I had to do was take everyone else's doubt out of my mind. So like everyone can always tell you what you can't do. And like they project their fears on you. And I just never let that affect what I wanted to do. Whether that was move to New York, whether that was like to quit a job without having a job, whether that was, to go on a crazy dating show, like whatever anyone's fears were, I didn't let that affect my decision making. And like not in a sense of like being what's the word? Reckless, but like just I wasn't gonna let their fear deter me from like being a risk taker. And I think that to live life with no regrets is like such a powerful thing. And it, again, it sounds like a t-shirt motto, but like it's a way that I try to live my life. Like if I want to do something that, isn't going to hurt somebody else, like I try to do it. You know, it's like, hey, do you want to fly across the country, like kind of mid-COVID and go to the Philippines? It's like, yeah, like I'll do that. Or like anything that kind of sounds like, yo, that's like, is that a good idea?
Yeah.
I just try to say yes to all those things because it's been one of the joys of my life, the things that have come from saying yes to those things, because you don't know.
Yeah.
And when you take a risk and you put yourself out there, like you're exposed to all the things that come with that.
Yeah.
And a majority are overwhelmingly good, but people want you to think that they're bad so that you live in fear with everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the people that take risks are the ones that get rewarded. So
yeah. That's a really amazing thought, but also something that I'm doing the work on right now is because I oftentimes think so much about how I'm going to be perceived and received by others, right?
Yeah.
So like that being something that's simple for you to be able to like quiet the noise and get the voices out of your head. What I would say then, what is the thing that makes you maybe feel like challenged or that you might wrestle with? Like, is there anything, or do you just like, I'm walking out into this world, I'm completely fearless, nothing can hold me back, which, cause like, I mean, I think that's a superpower. I think that's amazing. That's admirable, but I'm not there yet. So I want to learn more about that.
So I wouldn't say that it's, I think the best way to phrase this. So like, the self-doubt of other people is something that's easy for me to dismiss.
Okay.
Because as long as what I'm doing isn't going to hurt somebody, and as long as forget the hurting people, it's the decision's based on one thing. Is this pleasing to God? Am I honoring God in what I'm doing? And like, would he be displeased with what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And if he is, then I'm not going to do it. And like, that's the question I have to ask myself. And if what I'm doing is going to honor him, and then what everyone else thinks doesn't really matter, because not get to do too deep, but like, it really simplifies all of my decision making.
Yeah.
It makes everything easy for me, because I don't have to answer to Sharon or Karen. Like, I have one person I'm gonna answer to eventually. And so like, everything else just becomes very easy. So it's like,
I like that.
And also go back to that identity piece. Like, whose you are, like who
right.
you belong to.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like once you have like that piece of identity, it's like, okay, well, you can think I'm this and you can think I'm this. And
But he
I've
knows
heard that
I'm
before.
yeah.
Like, he knows. And
Right.
he almost like reassure. It's that renewing of your mind. He's like, I told you you're going to be this.
Right.
Like, I told you you're powerful.
Right.
I told you you're going to make an impact. Like, I told you you're going to be a great speaker. Whatever those things are that you kind of like fuel you, as opposed to what other people are saying. But that is a constant renewal of
I like that.
Constant.
Yeah.
And I guess I shouldn't say it's easy, because it's taken it didn't happen overnight. It took being faithful, and seeing the things that it was my mom, like the things that my mom went through, like the things that, like, my dad cheating on her, my dad leaving her, her parents being like, I told you so, her parents like not approving of her dating someone black, like all these things that like she took on the chin, and like didn't let those things phase her, because of her single-minded focus on who she was trying to please and what she was trying to accomplish. I just tried to channel that energy, because I'm like, if this has worked for her and she's gotten through all this stuff, and like, I'm like, this is a fraction of what I'm dealing with, and like, I'm just trying to channel that. So like, it was easy for me to see that and apply it to my life. But if someone wasn't raised like I was, it's not going to be as easy for them to see that and apply those things, because they don't have that example to go off of, and they don't have the assurance that like, if I do this, it doesn't always mean that it's not gonna lead to like riches and XYZ or whatever, but it will lead to a good life. And a good life is like your life. Like, your life is the best life, like not the other person's life, because they got stuff they're going through. So
Motivational talks by Matt.
Up next.
Preaching by Alicia.
I hear gratitude. I hear
Yeah.
so much gratitude, and just like everything that you shared, like, and just like how you reflect on it in different ways, right? Like personal gratitude, and then just gratitude for like the atmosphere, spaces, connections, opportunities that you've had. But it's like this theme of gratitude, especially when you're in the Philippines. Like,
yeah.
like, I'm just so grateful that I got running water.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you take that for granted, right?
Yeah.
And even just the gratitude of like having that example from your mom, and like some people don't get to see it walked out and lived out, so it's hard to like emulate something you don't have a picture of. Do you have some type of like gratitude practice, or like what does that look like for you?
I probably do, but it's just like a part of my routine. I'll have to think about it. I just try to put myself in other people's shoes, and I'm just, I know gratitude's a buzzword, but like, I don't like blessed. Like, there's not another way for me to like articulate how I feel, because everything needs perspective. To answer your question, it's like my gratitude is like my perspective on life, and my perspective being like things could be worse, because I've seen, like, I have classmates that who were way more talented than me, smarter than me, funnier than me, smarter, athletic, everything you could imagine, but they got caught up in gang life, they got caught up in the streets, and like, my perspective is that it's like, my life could have gone this way, my life could have gone that way. Like, I try to just be very aware of how blessed I am through my lived experiences. Like, seeing something like, man, like, and not thinking about the things I don't have, but thinking about the things I do have. Because I've seen the people that have, from a worldly perspective, way less than me, and they were happier than me. They were there when we were in the Philippines. I've never met a group of people, a nationality, a country that loves basketball more than the Filipinos.
I know that.
They
Wow, fun fact. I didn't know that either.
love hoops. They love hoops. I'm not even Filipino. You ask a Filipino, they love hoops. There was basketball courts. Like when I'm telling you we're traveling through these like crazy terrains, like I'm thinking we're gonna be at like on the edge of a cliff, but we, you know, come out to like a village, community, whatever. They have pretty much nothing, but they all had, every single one of them had a basketball court.
Wow.
They had a hoop, but their basketball court was dirt.
Mhm.
Sometimes it was cement, but for the most part, it was flat dirt. It was, you know, the post,
Mhm.
sometimes backboard, sometimes no backboard.
Okay.
Never a net. There was never a net. It was,
Basket?
there was a basket, there was a hoop, like whatever. It was
Yeah.
typically a basketball hoop, but there was never a net.
Mm.
If I don't see a net on a hoop, I'm not shooting a ball. Like that's just me. Like, you know, most people are like, yo, where's the net? Like we're not playing on this court. Like, have you ever been to an indoor court and not seen a net?
No.
Think about if you go
I
inside
Yeah.
and there's not a net. It's like, man, I'm not playing on this court. They were hooping, no shoes, barefoot. They were so grateful. They were so happy. I've never seen someone so joyful
Mhm.
to play basketball, no shoes, no net.
Yeah.
There was 50 people on the court. Like they were just like, you know, you get a rebound, they're just throwing it up. Like, so like they were playing their version of basketball, but like
Yeah.
that's the type, to answer your questions, a long-winded answer, but like that's the perspective I have for my gratitude. It's like, yo, these like what is their joy found in? Like they have, like they don't even know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And they're just so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know all this and I'm like trying to figure out like how, like it just reminds me how grateful I am.
Yeah.
Like, so.
It sounds very visual for you. And like the sort of metaphor that I draw from it is like you just look at life through a gratitude lens, right?
Mhm.
Like if you were to wear glasses like me, like you would have on gratitude glasses all the time, you
Yeah.
know? And it's just like when you see the world out there, it just makes you more grateful for having life,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
And I think that is beautiful. I think
Yeah.
that's honorable. I think that, you know, oftentimes like, yeah, we ask people like, what is your
Yeah.
gratitude
Is there
practice, right?
specific,
Is it,
right?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it feels like we feel like we have to have like this specific
Yeah.
routine, right?
Yeah.
But like also gratitude is like embedded in you.
Yeah.
Like that is just how you live your life, grateful.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really beautiful.
Because you're so
Thank you.
present. I think that's what I took away too. Is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
even how you were like gratitude. It's like I'm blessed. Like that's what it is. I'm just like I'm favored. But it's like you not letting those moments pass you by, and so you're like in it and you're seeing it and you're like appreciating it, which is that like constant like source of gratitude.
You know what I think it comes from? Actually, I just had a revelation.
Yes, revelation.
I used to think my mom was crazy for this. So we would be like, oh my gosh, we would be going to like the grocery store and my mom would pray for a parking spot.
My mom did the same thing.
Are you
And it
serious?
worked.
It
and I would
worked,
yeah,
yo.
and I'd be like,
Love
"Girl, you
it.
tripped. Like you doing too much."
Yo,
But it worked.
I'm the same way. She's like, please, Lord, like let there be praise God. And there's like, I'm like, yo, someone's gonna leave eventually. There's gonna be but like everything my mom saw is a blessing and a gift from God. Like
Mhm.
everything.
Yeah.
It's like elevator. Oh, praise God! Like the elevator, like the elevator's open. Come on, guys, come on.
It could have left, but it stayed.
Everything. And I'm just sitting there like when I was young, I'm like, yo, like what? But the older I've gotten, like I see everything that is good is a blessing
Yeah.
because it's not like that for everybody. So
Yeah.
anytime something like as simple as like, man, I really hope there's a water in the fridge. Oh, praise God, there's a water in the
Yes,
fridge. So
yes.
it's like, yo,
Yes.
thank you. Like
Yeah.
there's a water.
Yeah.
So I mean, when you break it down to like the simplest things
Mhm.
being thankful for, then you know it's just like I don't know. That's just how I look at it. Like every single thing I'm thankful for. Like I'm
Yeah.
thankful that you know I didn't have to take the steps up here. Like you brought us nice white wine from a black-owned
Yeah.
liquor store.
Happy Cork in Bed-Stuy.
Yeah, like I just think of every single thing as being a blessing
Mm.
Yeah.
because it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be like that.
Yeah.
It almost makes me, because what you're saying just resonates to like how I grew up, and as you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, that is And the older I get, I find myself doing, I call them old folks things.
Yes, exactly.
Right? But like,
exactly.
I'm like, oh, Lord willing.
We're the old folks.
I am
Yes,
that
high
person
key.
now.
Yeah.
And I find myself being grateful even for the things that didn't work out. And so it's like, you know what, God? I probably didn't need the opportunity. Thank you for preventing me for whatever might have been around that corner. Whereas earlier I'd be like, man, I prayed for that. That's crazy. I fasted too. You didn't see that fast? I didn't eat for 2 days.
Hungry.
Oh, snap.
What is going on, God?
That is funny.
Change. But like it would happen. And so I started finding.
Yo.
Now, if you do those things, y'all know. It's like, I don't get it. I did extra work here. It didn't work. But being even grateful for like those closed doors, because even then you know that's him like protecting you.
Dang.
And on a lot of times what I find out is, and even with us like coming together in this podcast, I think about how he's been refining my character over time. And it's like, if you would have given it to me when I would have asked for it, like I actually don't know if I really would have been ready.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so finding gratitude like within that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I feel that
Yeah.
100%.
That's like that's the old folks things. Man.
Yeah, right. I love seeing every little thing, whether it be good or bad or something in between, as a blessing. And I think that's definitely a part of my practice too. And you know, oftentimes, even when we are like a little bit upset that something didn't go our way, I think we can all align on the simple notion that everything is working for our good, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And, you know, that's just the way God writes it out. It's like everything is working in our favor. Like if he deters you, you take a little detour over here.
Yep.
It's for a purpose.
Yep.
And that just like reinforces that idea of like walking in purpose and walking because you know you have favor on your life. And so I think I understand even more where that like almost like fearlessness comes from. Like I'm gonna jump into this. I'm going to not think about it being a challenge. I'm not gonna think about it being an obstacle or some sort of difficulty that might be in my path. I'm just gonna do it. Yeah. And whatever comes from it, that was what was meant to be.
I couldn't have put it any better than that.
Yeah.
That was
I love
that. Yeah. That's exactly how I feel.
Like little snaps. Well, folks, this has been a
so good,
really great conversation.
Really
honestly, we laughed. We like got serious for a moment. We talked about our passions. We talked about community. And Matt, it's been such a joy to have you in this space with us. We thank you so much for showing up authentically, just as you are, being down to just have open conversation with us. And yeah, I mean.
Wait, I mentioned one thing earlier. I was like, do you know you're funny? And you're like, I know humor, but I don't. No, I'm not funny, but I know how to be humorous. Right. There was a distinction there. Yeah. So random question, but like, who would you say is like your humor aligns with? Are you like a Larry David? Are you? Yeah. Like what's I love because it's the simple.
Yeah.
Curb is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Curb Your Enthusiasm's hilarious.
Yes.
Like
where would you put yourself? Because you are.
You are. Yeah. You made us laugh.
Yeah. I would say that like I have an appreciation for funny people. Like it doesn't matter who you are. Like if you say something funny, then you're funny to me. Like, and I can find funny in I think of some comedians like Kevin Hart to Seinfeld to Larry David. Like they're funny people. Like they say funny, witty things. Yeah. My favorite comedian, and this is gonna be controversial, but he is hilarious. I'm sorry. Is Patrice O'Neal, R.I.P.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
favorite of all time.
I just think that he like his delivery and his like I think to be a comedian is scary because you have to say things that are like the funniest things amongst my friends and stuff is when they say something that's kind of personal. Yeah. And it's like true. Yeah. And it kind of stings a little bit, but it's like, yo, like really? So I think it's a fine line to balance like being funny, but also like hurting someone's feelings. And I think that when he was alive, he did, he was funny. Yeah. But again, I think that a lot of people can be funny. I like a lot
Yeah.
of comedians. I like.
Okay,
to laugh.
if you like comedians, now I have to ask you this because this is my husband and I's current favorite comedian, and it's because he's so physical with his comedy, and I relate to the movement. Do you like Sebastian Maniscalco?
He's hilarious.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So we were watching.
He too is
He's
funny.
so
He too is
funny,
funny.
right?
Funny. Yeah.
I feel like I love comedy, but like I haven't always like been into like going to comedy clubs and things like that. But like I love watching specials these days.
Yes.
And his most recent special.
I haven't seen his recent.
Oh,
one.
it's good. And he's like dressed up for this one.
Oh, he
Like,
is.
he's in a full
Oh, let's
suit,
go.
But he's still doing, you know, all
Yeah.
of his funky body movements. It's good. It's really good.
To last point to that, I
Yeah.
think it's honestly harder. I think it's harder to not be funny than to be funny. I think every single person, like, I think anybody can make me laugh. Like when I go to comedy shows and
Yeah.
I see people who are not laughing, I'm like, you're trying not to laugh. like this, like there's got to be something that's gonna be funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but
It's like the TikToks. You see them, people go live and they have a sign and they're like, first person to like make me laugh gets like whatever the prize
yeah.
is. And they're just like,
did they ever laugh?
sometimes they do.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
And they're like,
okay.
it's just like,
Yeah, I like that. I like
impress
that.
me.
Yeah.
You know? Wait, so I have a funny story. So I'm not like huge. My friends are really big into like stand up and going to comedy shows.
Mhm.
And we went to see Andrew Schultz.
Okay, yeah.
at,
Andrew Schultz.
Yes,
Yeah.
so funny.
Yo,
You- wait.
Andrew Schultz is hilarious.
So
Love.
I think,
Where'd you see him?
correct me if I'm wrong, Yami. He records here, right? Okay.
Yes.
He records
Oh.
his podcast
Yo,
here.
he is, he records here?
Uh-huh.
You might be sitting in the same
Yeah,
chair.
brilliant
Yo,
idiots,
this
yeah.
is oh.
He may have sat
Yo,
there.
Yeah,
We can't
yeah,
confirm
Does
or
look like
deny.
the setup.
We
Yeah.
can't confirm or deny though.
Wow, this does look. Wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out to Andrew.
Yeah.
But
Schultz.
like
He's
I went to see
funny.
Yeah,
Andrew
right?
Schultz and we got like this was a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, and we got maybe like I don't know, like $35 tickets, right? So we're like, yes, we're gonna see Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
And he was like popular, but not like he is now.
Right,
Like, now
right,
he's
right.
a thing, right?
Yeah,
He's,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Modeling for like Louis Vuitton and
Yo, you saw that?
wild.
That was wild.
So we go and they're like, you know, comedy shows you have to put your phone away, it's
Mhm.
the whole thing. And so Seinfeld comes out.
Wow.
And we're all just like, these are the moments in New York that you hear about,
right.
but you're not
You don't get to
present
hear.
for.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
I was there and I was just like,
Oh
oh
my
this is so much.
god.
And then George Wallace came out after him because you know they're
Wow.
homies. And it was just one of those moments where I was just like, I love New York.
Oh my
I
god.
absolutely love it. This $35 ticket got me all of this.
Yeah.
And then Andrew comes out and he goes, oh, you saw my opening acts? It's like, calm down. Calm down.
But honestly, wow.
Yes.
You were in the presence of brilliance. Like,
And it was just like, and it was just like, you really are funny in real life too.
Right,
And
right.
he's just like they're working out material. It's
Yeah.
nothing like, you know, set.
yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Oh, so
Love
Seinfeld
that.
was funny?
Yeah, no, he really was
No,
funny
wait,
in
wait,
real
wait.
life.
Have you
Wow.
watched
And
he's a big
comedians in
sneaker
cars
dude,
getting
too.
coffee?
Huh?
Comedians in cars getting coffee. Have you watched
No.
Netflix? Oh my gosh, yes, it's on
Yes,
Netflix.
yes.
So
I
it's
thought
all
Tracy
these little.
Morgan.
Yeah. What?
Tracy Morgan and
Tracy
him.
Morgan on it.
Oh
Yes,
my
yes, yes.
gosh.
Okay, it's all these little bite-sized episodes. They're really, really quick, like easy to watch. I feel like each episode is like maybe less than 15 minutes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he goes in a car that he feels like describes whatever the comedian he's gonna like interview in.
Yeah.
He like picks them up in the car or like sometimes like a bike or something like that. And they just go get coffee. And it's
Oh,
so
man.
funny. Honestly,
It's
I
on
know you love
Netflix?
to laugh. Yes,
Yes.
it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm in there.
It's so
Comedians
good.
in
in
Cars
there.
Getting Coffee. It has multiple seasons too. So you'll be able to like binge a bunch of them.
Done.
Yeah.
And to the point we made earlier, you with your Big Mac,
Oh, yes.
like
Mhm.
Wildin' Out is one of my, because I love to laugh. Like I think
Mm.
that DC is
DC Flat.
Oh yeah.
he
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is hilarious. And Los,
Yep.
those two together, and Chico Bean,
Yep.
like those three, they tour together. Like I'm gonna try to make that
Have you
happen.
seen any of the live ones?
I've seen the TikToks and like they just riff on people in the audience. Like I'll send them to you. I was crying last night. Like I was like in bed. I'm supposed to be in bed, like trying to go to sleep, and I'm just like sitting there, just like dying watching. Yeah, so.
I went to it when they were here, because it's me, him, and he has a younger brother. We were close.
Oh, did you go to the one in Brooklyn?
No, so I didn't go to the Barclays the last one. It was last summer. It was in Jersey.
Oh,
We
okay.
went to one in Jersey, And that is legitimately, the breaks are not like, they don't redo jokes. Like all of that is just happening live.
Wow.
The funny is really that funny.
Yeah.
Like the jokes are really just off the top of that. It's impressive. Like,
Yeah.
That is
Stay on their toes.
That is that's a skill set right there.
Yeah.
I was just like, I was so impressed. And like,
Okay,
I know
so that has to
still
be our
impressed.
thing to all of us to go. We have to do a comedy
Yes,
show.
I
So
would
we're
love
running
that.
a marathon with coffee.
Yes.
We're going to a
Ooh.
comedy show with Matt.
He
Coffee.
He made
Oh
us-
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, we,
Wow.
He encouraged us.
November 2024. We're
2024.
running the New York Marathon.
Let's go.
So we have time to
Yeah.
celebrate.
Dang, that's awesome.
It's happening. It's
Congratulations.
Are you joining?
Thank you.
I'll be there. Yeah.
Oh
Are
my
you
God.
running?
Are you running?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yes?
God. Yes.
100%.
Okay.
I'm running this year, and the goal is to break 3 hours,
Okay.
and then from that year, from going forward, I'm going to try to beat it every year. So.
So we might not see you
We'll
on
see you
this
at
run.
the
No,
beginning.
we're gonna
right?
see
We'll
you.
see
I'm
you
gonna
at
see
the
y'all.
end.
Okay, yeah, at the
I'm gonna do the
beginning,
cheer
we can have a
section.
meal afterwards.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna hold
You're
you to
gonna
that.
be, and we're just happy to be in the present.
Yes, we are. It might be a soft
I'll be
drop.
training with y'all if you do
Oh,
no
yeah.
name.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
are.
we are gonna
yeah,
do no
we are.
name. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I can never figure out how to end these episodes because I never want them to end.
I know.
They're just too good.
Okay, this has been your weekly dose of Dose to Duality.
Yes.
I'm Alicia Ferguson.
And I'm Deja Riley. We can't wait to be in community with you once again. See you next time.
Peace.
I'm not a fan of conflict or controversy. I have a really, really hard time like approaching it
Mm-hmm.
and sitting in it.
Yep.
I think it's that idea that goes back to like childhood. I've been doing a lot of inner child work with my therapist, and a lot of it goes back to childhood of like, you know, I wasn't the kid who like wanted to get dirty, like in the physical sense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I was playing in the sandbox, but I'm like, please don't get sand in my shoes.
These are
Don't get
new.
into my pants. Right. These are new. We don't want it in the socks. We don't want it in the pants. And it's interesting because I'm a beach girl. I'm from Virginia Beach. Used to go to the beach all the time. I was also the kid that I couldn't continue with my day right after the beach if I didn't shower. Like I couldn't walk around with sand all in my clothes and my bathing suit, feeling wet. Like,
He's like, nah,
No.
I can't go to eat now.
No.
I need to go home and shower first.
100%. And everything in the physical for me also manifests in the spiritual. And so that idea of like sitting in mess, being with mess, having something be messy,
Yeah.
it's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like if we're talking HSP-ness, because that's what just came to me, I don't like clutter. Like everything needs to have a place. Like everything should have like a reasoning for it.
Yeah.
So like when I look around, like I just want to see aesthetically pleasing things.
If you enjoyed this episode of Dose of Duality, the podcast, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share with others.
That was good. Y'all killed that.
You killed that. Oh my gosh, it was so good.
That was fun.
Even at the end, I was like, oh, we're gonna go longer. Let's just go for it. I wanted to, because I don't think like people think a lot of different things about you, but that was one of the main things I picked up. I was like, he's like low key funny, and like I don't know if people like really like receive it.